Here with Brenda Alloway. Um, I'm Paul Manning again. So I've been working with Brenda this year. Could you talk a little bit about your practice, kind of a brief history, and then maybe kind of what the maybe last, like, since the start of 2020 has been like for your practice?
Sure. Well, we started in 2009, and so we are 10 years old, 11 technically, and started off by myself. And when I had enough name recognition and enough referrals, opened up a group practice, and group practice has been growing strong every year, getting bigger, making more and more revenue, of course, adding clinicians. And then in 2017, we were at our highest revenue-wise, and in 2018, we did the same. And then in 2019, we had some turnover, and so that caused our revenue to decrease slightly. And then in 2020, everybody knows what happened there in March. So we've been trying to increase revenue to get back to the 2017 and 2018 years, which was $500,000. And we do definitely have the clientele and the referrals. We do something a little different. We psychology practice mostly made up of psychologists, and we do have a master's level clinician. So we basically do testing and therapy. And that's kind of different from most practices. We do the testing and the therapy, and we take all insurances plus Medicaid and Medicare. So we saw a niche in our community that wasn't being served. So that's kind of the reason why we made the income that we made. Now in 2020, with the virus, as everyone knows, we've all had to shift to telehealth in order to continue running our business. And we also had to downplay the therapy, or excuse me, the testing services because of the 6 feet distancing requirement. We weren't able to do that. So instead of focusing on testing, we had to shore up our therapy services. So one of the reasons we hired you was to help us, make our website obviously more, I guess, what's the technical word? More searchable, more
Search friendly.
Or what's the goal of making the website and our name and more easily found by people who are trying to find a therapist.
To kind of help adapt away from testing.
Yeah, so not focus on the testing piece so much, but focusing on therapy. And in there, we have a lot more competitors because we're competing with all the therapy practices and all the agencies and the hospitals. And so in order to be more competitive, obviously we had to do some things to make us stand out. And one of the things that we did was hire you and help us get our website and our digital marketing program up and running.
Okay, cool. And so just kind of something to add. So you said you're a group of mostly psychologists, group practice, accept insurance, and you're located, could you kind of describe your geographic area?
Well, we're 20 minutes north of Charlotte. Charlotte's obviously a huge city. The nice thing about Charlotte is that people are trying to move here or are moving here in droves. So it's one of the fastest growing cities, still to be, in the top 10 of fastest growing cities every year. And the other thing that makes it nice is that there's no doctoral programs here, so there aren't a lot of psychologists. So we do definitely have a niche here, and if we do hire psychologists, we're usually bringing them in from another state, or if they happen to be here already. So that's what makes supply and demand in our favor. Is there's not many psychologists, and so psych testing is something that obviously psychologists do, that psychiatrists don't do, that master's level therapists don't do. So that's our niche, and we definitely have a lot of business for that.
Okay. Okay, cool. That works. That gives us a good idea of kind of where you're coming from. And so when it comes to kind of marketing, there's a lot of pitfalls, a lot of kind of poor performance with a lot of marketing people that I see myself.
You mean
And
mistakes in marketing?
sorry?
You mean mistakes in marketing?
Well, yeah, the stakes and kind of, the things that different marketing people do and, lack of communication, kind of pitfalls that it's easy to fall into if you're just kind of hiring someone out of the blue.
Right.
So could you kind of describe, I know you worked with like 2 or 3 people before me.
Sure. We had different people do our website. One of the perks of our EHR was that they would do our website. And so they're one of the folks. Initially, we had a friend of a friend create the website, and then we had our EHR do the website. And then we found out about this, what do you call it, SEM?
SEO?
Search engine optimization. Yep. And search engine marketing, which are terms that I had never heard of. And it was somebody that's in marketing tell me about it, and she referred me to a person who does what you do, the website, the digital marketing. So I actually hired her, and I guess we maybe had an increase. I really couldn't tell. And so one of the reasons why I ended up not working with her and transitioning to you is because I really couldn't tell what her work was that was really adding to our bottom line. And one of the nice things about what you do is that not only do you share that with me verbally, but you also share that with me in a written report. So I can see exactly how our name recognition or how our website is improving in terms of people visiting and people actually calling us and people turning into customers. And so that wasn't something that she did, and that's something that you do, and that's something that I like a lot. Also, when we first met you, you didn't think that the website was visible enough. Is that the word? Or going to attract customers the way that it was built. So you had to go in and do a lot of different things to help with that.
Play around with the back end. Yeah. I think it's important. You talked about showing reports. I think it's important for business owners to kind of know what's up with your business.
Yeah, and I think
good
for most business owners, and I'll speak for myself, I don't really understand the jargon. I don't know if other people do. And there's a lot of jargon with any profession, and in your profession there is. So just understanding the whole search engine optimization process is still hard for me to really understand.
But, but try to break it down.
It makes sense, and the calls are coming. And so we have tons of referrals now. Our only problem is what to do with all of these clients that have called us. So we're back to trying to, hire psychologists. More importantly, challenge with hiring psychologists is that psychologists usually do want to work for themselves. So they already are in their own business, or they are just starting their career. And usually that's the types of the psychologists that I've had working for me in the past who are starting their career, want to work with the practice and basically get credentialed, get their name recognition out there, and develop their clientele, and then move to their own practice and start their own practice.
Yeah. So the challenge is in kind of
so there's challenges hiring and keeping therapists. Now the therapists that I have now, both of them are basically semi-retired. They've worked either for employers or they've worked for themselves, and they're at this point in their life where they don't want to handle any of the business. They just want to come in, do therapy, and leave.
Yep. Okay. But back to the kind of marketing things.
Yes.
You went through. You said you went through those 3 people. What were kind of the common reasons that you switched? Like what made you dissatisfied with?
Well, I couldn't tell if we were getting any more business. So I couldn't tell if the fees that we were paying each month, which were high, let alone the fees for the creation or the editing of the website, really mattered. I couldn't see the tangible evidence. And that's hard for marketing too, because you can spend millions on an ad campaign and not really know if you're getting any return on your investment.
Well, that's the thing though. Is so many people, so many marketing agencies say that, but you can, there's ways to, track
it by how
track the benefits. Yeah.
You can easily track it, I think, with the website. You can say who's been to the website, and you can easily track that. How much time you're spending, does it develop into a phone call or an email?
Yep,
But
yep. All this, I mean, we live in the 21st century. Google can tell you this stuff. So
so
it's
it
a
all
shame
can be
that,
tracked.
yep.
And yeah, but I mean, like if say traditional marketing, if you're just buying radio ads or TV ads, I think that would be harder.
Yeah, that's more kind of broad. Yeah, like a billboard or something, you can't
Right,
track a
which
billboard.
therapists and anybody in this world knows is that we are regulated and we do not have permission really to market.
Yeah, and yeah, there's all these special rules you have to keep with when
Yeah.
you're hiring a marketing freelancer. Are they keeping in line with what
Right, all of the ethics and all of the guidelines and all of the provisions, and
exactly, yeah.
we're
So
definitely regulated, so we have to keep in mind with all those regulations.
yep, exactly. So that's important to keep in mind. And like you said, you couldn't get the results because they weren't tracking them, which is just a great sadness in my view.
She might have been tracking them, but I didn't understand what her work was and how it was helping our practice.
And that as well, or communicating. Either they're not tracking it or they're not communicating.
Yeah,
Well. So
and maybe there was just a misunderstanding in terms of, if we were to meet in person, if we were to meet virtually or on the phone.
Communication issues.
Yeah, communication issues. And I think for most therapists, it's hard because if you're spending most of your time in your practice is servicing clients. So most of your time is spent in session.
You can't be doing marketing all the time.
Right. Yeah. And every business owner has that problem, but
exactly.
Therapists, we're in session. We can't be doing other things. So
absolutely.
If most of your time is maximized on billing, so you're seeing 5, 6, 7 clients a day, unless you have evenings and weekends free, when do you have that time? So
okay.
It's really a challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to balance. That's why, a lot of people want to outsource their marketing for medical stuff. So you kind of talked a bit about, the results you got, like you more clients than you had before, which is great. When it comes to kind of my services, beyond that, that's the bottom line, is getting more clients. But when it comes to me, did you feel that I had sufficient experience, knowledge to
Absolutely
help you?
You came highly recommended by another therapist, and not even a local therapist, somebody that is living, I guess, where you live.
Yep, yeah,
and
up here in Minnesota.
We just happen to be on the same Facebook group, which I don't even remember which one that was, but maybe Therapists in Private Practice.
Yeah, one of the many.
One of the many.
When it comes to kind of supplementing your knowledge and participation, you said you didn't know a lot about the kind of marketing side of things. Did you feel that I was able to kind of come up with new ideas in a useful way?
Absolutely. I think you went beyond the call of duty in terms of creating the actual content. I felt the other web designer was basically asking us to do all the work, and we just didn't have the time to do it.
Yeah, that's another big thing too. Is
that's a huge plus working with you, is that you actually roll up your sleeves and actually produce the content.
Yep, and it takes like a specialized knowledge in order to do that.
You have to know the field. You have to know the field and all of the ethical and legal regulations that we have to make sure that we're not doing anything wrong.
And that's also, a big thing about the content is a lot of search engine marketing is based on content, and a lot of these marketing people come in and do some things that you can't see. And, if you're not actually doing anything content-wise, you're not going to see results. So that's part of why you've seen better success.
Our website, you basically rehauled, because the website prior was just very minimal. And
like 100 words.
Kind of like a brochure. Yeah, it was like a brochure, and it was quick and easy to read and get through it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're interested in our company or going to result in a phone call.
Exactly, as we've seen. And you talked about, I'm able to kind of explain things a little more in depth and communicate well. You mentioned that earlier.
And very reliable too. We've never had any problems, getting together, and you're very flexible too. So my schedule is definitely very tight, and you're very easy to work with in terms of, last minute cancellations and reschedules meetings, which we've done many times.
Yeah, for sure. You guys got the busy schedule, so
Thank you for that.
I'll move. So I guess the last question would be, and I guess we kind of touched on this, but what are some qualities that you are or were or should look for in a digital marketing?
Well, somebody who knows your work, and that's it's so specialized that I think that anybody who's doing this type of work really has to be excellent with information technology and just know your way around a website and building it and doing all of those things that make it more searchable.
Mm-hmm.
So, that knowledge is crucial. And where do you learn that knowledge? I have no idea, because I certainly don't have any of it. And thankfully you do. So knowing that, and obviously being able to be creative and being able to be, you have to know the IT end and you have to know the marketing end. So those are two distinct fields with just different ways of working. And a good communicator and reliable. Yeah, and your prices are very fair too. You're not trying to sell us a bill of goods and not get anything for it. So I felt your prices were very, very competitive and very easy for a business to undertake.
Yeah, I'm flexible. However much you want to do over how much time I can kind of
we can have you really involved, or we can have you slightly involved, and obviously you've got different levels of involvement that correspond with different fees. So that makes it nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes we might need you more, and sometimes we might need you less.
Mm-hmm. When you're bringing on a new provider, maybe you need a little more juice.
Revenue stream, something, new locations, whatever is going on. So
cool. Yeah.
Right now we're trying to obviously, highlight our teletherapy, which I think most therapists are doing now because of COVID. Make sure that people who are looking for us can find us and know that we have teletherapy. Not focusing so much on the psych evals as much as the therapy, and just doing things like, adding the PHQ-9 assessment and giving a lot of good research and statistics and facts about cognitive behavioral therapy and all of those special things that we do. Very helpful. So you're able to understand that and apply it in a way that lay people can understand it.
Yep. Excellent.
So our site's not filled with jargon and it's hard to understand.
Yeah, it has to be accessible to a client. Yeah. Okay. Well, those are the big things, qualities you're looking for if I meet them, things like that. So